So today we're gonna look at an activity called tessellation, and I know a few of you are like, "What in the world is this crazy word that I've never heard of before? What is going on, MoAD?" Um, so tessellation, it actually comes from the Latin word tessera, and it just means a small stone cube. So if you look in the left of the screen, you can see the picture of the two fish. Um, the word comes from when the Romans would put tile mosaics on the floor of buildings. Most of the images contained animals or other forms of life, and the activity we're going to do today is very much in alignment with that. Let's see, do I just go next? How do I do this? All right. So MC Escher, who is the inspiration for this activity, was very inspired to work in tessellation when he took a trip to Spain, particularly to Alhambra. And you might be asking yourself, why is MoAD choosing to do an MC Escher, this Dutch artist, and this activity that that he was really into? Well, he was inspired by the Moors, and if we all know our history, the Moors were actually from the African continent. So he was inspired by this architecture from that actually comes from the diaspora. Oh, how did that happen? Um, and so what he was really interested in the symmetry, and then if you really look deeply at them, which we'll do a little bit, you can see a strong connection to mathematics. So these were not just pretty things, these were based on kind of the divine geometry of the universe, so to say. And so he was very inspired by that. He was also really into mathematics, and so when he saw this, he made those instant connections. So who is MC Escher? You probably know him from college, or at least I do. A lot of people had MC Escher posters on their walls. I went to UC Berkeley, so he was super duper popular there. These very trippy drawings, for example, these optic illusions of the staircase that goes on forever and ever and never ends. Well, those are all actually built on tessellation, or the divine geometry that he saw in Alhambra. So as soon as he went to Alhambra, he got inspired to do the drawing that you see, or the etching that you see right here, called Eight Heads. So the year he went to Alhambra was in 1922, and he immediately decided to play with tessellation, not with abstract geometry, but by doing these heads. So there's 8 heads, if you look at it, that repeat over and over again. And my mouse keeps vanishing for some weird reason. Okay, there it goes. And then he just became obsessed with this, and this is basically what he did for the rest of his life. So even the things that you see with the staircases, those are actually, if you look underneath them, there's tessellation for how he continues to make the optical illusions of the staircase that goes on and on. And his very last tessellation that he ever made in his life was actually created to solve a mathematical problem that was sent to him by a friend named Roger Penrose. And he actually calls this the Penrose Ghost. If you look really carefully at the center of the ghost, which kind of look like cats to me, and you look at the edges of the heads of the different ghosts, you can see where their heads kind of make a star pattern in the middle. There's 3 black ones and 3 white ones, so altogether 6. If we zoom out to the next layer, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse moving around here, or if it's just for my own purposes. Okay, great. So if you move out, then from 6 ghosts, he has 12 ghosts that go around. And then if you go back out to these red and white ones, there's 24, so forth and so on. So they're multiplying as they go along. And then if you look at this design side by side with the Alhambra tile, you can see the strong correlation between the 2 designs. And another connection to the diaspora, Nigerian Wax Print, which I'm wearing today, uh, actually uses a lot of tessellation. So in the process of making wax prints or batik, you want to make sometimes there's a single image that's floating in the middle of the fabric, but more often or not, there's the same image that repeats and then it interlinks together. So the Dutch wax or Nigerian wax print or wax print that you find all over the continent often uses this technique of tessellation as well. So another diaspora connection there for you. So before we get into the actual art making, I want to make sure that everyone has their materials with them. So you're going to need a pencil of any kind. I wanted to make sure that we all had materials that most people have lying around the home. If you, for whatever reason, don't own a pencil, you can use a pen. It's just fine. You want a sheet of plain paper. So I am using printer paper that I just have lying around. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a ruler, or any other kind of straight edge that you have. If you don't have a ruler around your home, the edge of a book works, an envelope works, you know, a card, anything just with a straight edge. It doesn't, we're not actually going to be using the ruler to measure, we're just using it as a straight edge. You're gonna need some form of tape. You know, if you have this tape lying around, when I did this workshop last week, I only had duct tape. That'll work just as well. It's a little bit more difficult, but it will work. And then finally, I am just using a piece of junk mail that I got, an envelope from a piece of junk mail. I hadn't opened it yet, but what I did was I went ahead and took my scissors and carefully just cut the edge of it so that the envelope stayed pretty much intact. If you have a Post-it note around, which I don't happen to have around home, those work really well, or a note card will work as well. Optional materials that we may or may not get to today are a Sharpie or any other black marker that you may have, colored pencils or markers or crayons or something else, but we may not get to that component today, just so you know, within the constraints of our 1 hour. So how do I get back? Today, how do I get back? Okay, there we go. Oh, and someone else has joined us. How do I get my controls back? Oh, there they go. All right. So I'm gonna stop the share and then I'm gonna show you guys my workspace. Awesome. So here you have an example of a tessellation that I made. It's like really hard to toggle between all these different windows. And as you can see, I did not finish my tessellation at all. Can everyone see it? Not if you can see. Okay, awesome. So I didn't finish it, and that's okay. I started to get into the color with it a little bit. And the nice thing about a project like this during the time of quarantine is that you could just keep on working on it. Whatever you don't finish today, that's fine. You'll have plenty of time to go back to it. If you want to add more color, if you want to add more details to it, that's fine. The tiling part of it is, you can see what I made out of an envelope. That was sent to me, another piece of junk mail. And so I'll demonstrate the same exact technique that I did before. And the tiling part, as you can see, is each of these is just a tile that I ended up tracing around. And when you make a design, you want it to interlink with each other. So I'm pretty sure this was the first one that I started off with. And then I just connected and traced around it. And just kept going until it went off of the sheet. So again, it looks like what you end up at the end of the day is like a piece of wallpaper or a piece of fabric design where it just repeats over and over. Does anyone have any questions before I continue? We're good? Okay, and I think most people are muted, so if you are speaking, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself to say anything. Okay, so here's how we start the project. So you're gonna take, in my case, an envelope or your Post-it note. So if you have a Post-it note, you don't have to do this first step. You can just hang out because Post-it notes are already square, unless you have one of those giant Post-it notes that happens to not be square. Or if you are using a note card, you're gonna need to also do this as well. So what I wanna do to make my template is I'm gonna try to make a square. So I'm just gonna fold my envelope, and nothing has to be perfect until it's square-like. And then I'm gonna cut out my square. And don't feel precious about any of this. Everyone good? Yep, yeah, when you're done with it, hold it up so I can see that you have a square to go with. Okay, I can't see some of you, so I'll just, hopefully you're good. Okay, all right. And then what we're gonna do after we do that to make it, you're gonna come up with some abstract designs. Now, with your square laid down on your table, you're gonna make a mark. You're gonna make designs. So don't do anything until you see me. You're gonna pick two sides of your square that are right next to each other. So for the purposes of my example, I'm gonna do the top and then the right, because they're right next to each other. And then I'm just gonna, whatever design I kind of feel like I wanna do. When you do this, you're gonna wanna start somewhere towards the middle of the side. Don't go all the way to the end. And I think last time I did these little squigglies. So I'm just making a squiggly on this side. You guys don't have to do that. And then here, I really like these swirls. So I'm gonna do pretty much what I did before. I like these like swirly little things. So you're just gonna make two abstract designs. Again, you do not have to be a professional artist to make one of these. On two sides, and then you'll notice I left a little space on both sides for myself. Or you could choose to go, all the way to the end. Maybe I'll do this one different. I'll go all the way to the corner this time.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you supposed to, the way yours is on the side, there's an area. So is it better to have like an area that's open on the side, or it could be something that just comes to a point?
An area open on the side.
You see, right, if I look at your design on the right-hand side, right at the edge, right, there's an area that's open to the, there's an area that's open. I guess I can't point to your design. There's an area that's open. It's like about a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 inch. It's an open rather than something that goes from a point. No, that's part of the design.
Okay, here.
You see, it's kind of, on the other side. Go to the other side of that, like right to the edge of the sheet of paper. Where the edge is, sorry to be so complicated. The edge of the sheet of paper, it's just there's an open area there, like as if it was going to connect with something else.
Yes, because we are going to connect with something else. So
right,
yes.
So you don't want it to go to just a point. Like the shape I always draw, my personal tessellation shape comes to a point, and you wouldn't want it to come to a point on the side.
So like this, you mean?
Yeah, like you want that. You don't want it to come to a point right at the edge. Like a single point. You wouldn't want that to go the other.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Like just like this, you mean?
Yes. I take it you don't want that.
No, you can. You can.
Okay.
It doesn't.
That's my whole question. Sorry it took so long to ask.
No. That may have helped someone. So yeah, you can make it come to a point at the edge. And then what we are going to do, that's a great question. And so then what you are going to do next is you're going to carefully cut out each of these. Actually, I'm using the word careful. You don't have to be that careful. It's okay. It's okay if it's not perfect. And then cut out each of these designs that I made. And I'm gonna keep them. So the careful part about cutting it out is because you wanna keep it. And my envelope has a little part hanging over. Awesome. Let's see, Tony is ready. Ron is ready. Ellen is ready. Janine is ready.
How do you know if we're ready or not?
They were showing it to me.
That's it.
Okay, Ruth is ready. Do you have two things, Ruth?
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
But they kind of, were they supposed to be on the fold?
On two sides of it.
Oh, because one of mine isn't on the fold. So.
What do you mean on the fold?
Well, like this one was on the fold, so I could open it up like that. But then this one I didn't have, so they were apart. It was on an edge that didn't have a fold, so they. So there.
Oh, okay. So you're doing the more complicated. You folded yours over. You folded your into a square.
Yeah, I folded it into a square.
Oh, okay. So yours is going to be a little bit more complicated because I wanted you to cut the square out.
I did cut the square out. I did cut the square out, but I think what happened was I only had half an envelope, so that's why.
Oh, got it. Okay, okay. So you're going to have a little bit more of a challenge, which could be okay. We'll see. Everyone else good? I see chats. So there, you're funny. Okay, so if everyone is ready, the next step that we're going to do is, in order to make a tile, so like in your bathroom or in your kitchen, if you have tile, it's all symmetrical. They're all the same for the most part, unless you have the complicated tile, which is the double tile. I guess, you know what, actually, Ruth, one of mine is double, but I'm gonna leave it folded for the purposes of this. Actually, both of mine are double. But I'm gonna leave them as one for the purposes of this exercise because it makes it a little bit easier.
Okay.
So where my pieces were cut out from, I wanna position them exactly opposite of where they came from. This one is really easy because I cut all the way to the corner over here. And so it'll be really easy for me to line this one up. This other one, it's not in the middle, or it is in the middle. It didn't go all the way to a corner. So the little trick to line this one up is I'm gonna put it over here. So it's exactly, this is where it was cut out from. And then I'm gonna slide it all the way to the opposite side of my square. And then the little trick to get the exact location of it is to fold this over without putting a crease in it all the way.
Wait, so we were supposed to keep this thing that we cut it out from?
Yes, keep both things. Keep all three. You should have 3 pieces now. So the original square that you cut out, and then 2 of the items that you cut out. You didn't toss them, right? You couldn't have tossed them too far. So to demonstrate that again, where this one came from, I'm gonna slide it over in the same exact position, same direction. I'm gonna fold this one without making a crease to just see where it lines up at on the other side to be even with the part that it was cut out from. And then I'm going to tape it into place. Again, I don't care if everything's perfect. And then I'm gonna, I think I moved it a lot. Doing that. I'm gonna tape that into place and just pretend that I didn't go all the way to the corner with this one. I can still fold it over to find the exact spot where it came from. And I'm also gonna tape that little guy into place.
You're touching the sides of the one that you cut it from, right?
I'm sorry?
You're taping them to the sides of the piece that you created the template.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So this is where they came from. And then they're just gonna slide down and tape back into place. Hopefully everyone can see that. I'll put a little, happen to have a piece of black, so there's a little bit more contrast. Any questions?
I don't think mine's working, but I'll keep following you.
Maybe, I think it's probably because of the piece that's was creased.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it, Ron. Yep. All right, Jean got it. Whoa. All right, Tony. Tony for the challenge. Beryl has it. All right, Kate has it. Manal has it.
Can you show us some of other people's ones if they can hold them up?
Oh yeah. If you want to hold yours closer to the camera.
Just for a minute.
And with Stacy's camera, do you have it? No. Do you have a question?
I just wanted to see what other people's looks like.
I can't even formulate the question.
Yep.
I just don't have it.
Do you want to show it so I can see maybe what the issue is?
Okay. These are the pieces that I have.
Okay. Got it.
And I can see where there's a mirroring going on, but I can't figure out how to tape it together.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll demonstrate that one more time. So just put it back to where it was cut out from. Right? So I'm putting it back to where I cut it out from. And then I'm gonna keep it in that same exact position and just slide it all the way to the other side.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, mine is easy.
Everyone good? Yeah, it'll take a little bit of time. Okay, awesome. Okay, and here's the creative part. So we're gonna zip, well, I like to zip back to where Escher was with it, and he was really into human figures and animal figures, and I really like animals. So here's where you get to pull out your 5-year-old imagination, the imagination that you had when you were a kid, and look at this thing and decide what kind of creature you think this could be. Mine, to me, looks like a dinosaur. So I have my cell phone here, and I'm going to Google search a dinosaur. So I have a reference point to work from. What kind of dinosaur does this thing look like to me? It looks like a stegosaurus, I think. All right, so I find a cool picture of a stegosaurus. That will be my reference image to work from. And, you know, it doesn't exactly look like a stegosaurus by any means, but it could be an abstract stegosaurus, right? So these would be the little spines up and down its back. This would be its tail, right? So that's what I'm going to settle on. I'm now going to take my piece of paper. Hopefully everyone can see. And if you use an envelope like I did, you're going to have a pretty large square, so you're not going to be able to get too many of these on there. If you did a Post-it note, then it's going to be smaller, and you're going to get a lot more of these templates on your page. I like to start somewhere in the middle, off-center of my paper. And I know some of you have done complicated tessellations before. There are much more complicated tessellations. This is the beginner tessellation where we're literally just tiling it. And so you're just gonna begin to trace around your template.
I'm sorry, Demetri, should we start in the middle, or it doesn't matter if you used?
It doesn't matter. Somewhere, I like to start in the middle-ish, but of course I'm not even in the middle of my sheet. I'm somewhere to the side. But yeah, you can start in the middle. You can start on the left and the right. It kind of doesn't matter.
The animal in terms of the direction you're putting it, right?
Yeah, because for me this is, and my iPad is twisted. So for you, for me this would be the head area, and then this is the tail of my creature.
Okay.
I have decided. So I've traced it very crudely. And then if you got the symmetry correct with this, then just like tiles in your kitchen or bathroom, there's a place where they link back into each other. So then I'm going to place my template where it slots in with the next one. And then I'll repeat, and I'll continue to trace until my entire page is filled up.
So you keep moving your shape around as it fits the paper? It doesn't have
Exactly. Yeah, so some of you may have, like Ruth has one that's not exactly symmetrical on both sides. So you may need to get a little bit more creative about how you move it around.
When you move it around, Demetri, do you make sure that the new one connects to the previous one in some way?
Yeah. So here now I have my two where this, this one, this was the first one that I did, and then I just basically slid it right over to where it fits.
Okay, thanks.
And now for mine, I'm only gonna, because it's so large on my paper, I'm only gonna get two complete ones. And so then I'm gonna find where it fits on the incomplete part that runs off the edge of the paper. And then even on the edge, there's black. Show the contrast. Everyone's so quiet. This is so meditative.
So Demetri, once I have two on there, but I can't fit a third one completely, do I move the shape around?
Yeah, so can you see what I'm doing now? I'm
Okay,
finding a place where it slots in,
okay.
and most of my design is off the page,
Okay.
and that's okay. I don't know what this part would be. Okay, and then I know some folks are still tracing their template, but some of you are still ready for the next phase of it. So then the next phase is to start drawing in designs. And you want to make these be whatever you draw, depending on your level of experience with drawing. Let me see, there's a couple of chats. Does anyone have a question? Okay. Thanks for today for taking all the questions. I appreciate that. So you want to make designs and patterns that you can easily replicate. So if you are, you know, a professional artist like Mr. Ron Saunders, you could go more complicated. What was that, Ron?
I said I don't use pencils and stuff like that, you know.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well then I should say a professional artist like Maddie because I've seen her drawing. Sorry to put you on the spot. So if you could draw perfectly realistic eyes, you know, over and over again, go for it. But for the purposes of this design, I'm going to suggest that you do things that are pretty easy to replicate over and over again with each of your tiles. So again, with my Stegosaurus, Stegosaurii, however you say the plural of them, they they have an eye, and I just like circles for my eye because I can easily replicate that. And then that's something that if I decide that it's going to go there, I can easily put it everywhere else where I see this little thing that I am determining is the head.
So Demetri, each edge is supposed to touch, so there shouldn't be any open space between the shapes?
There shouldn't be open space.
Oh, okay.
No.
You have a lot of curves, then I have too many curves, so it's too hard to, that's what I don't understand. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if there's a part where they overlay each other, then you should be able to not have a space between. I also think straight edges make really great lines that you can easily replicate. So even though my Stegosaurus doesn't really have any straight lines on his body from the image that I'm referencing, I'm just gonna make a random decision that he is going to have some horizontal or diagonal lines running across his body, because with the straight edge, I can easily replicate that over and over again. Does someone join us or does someone leave us? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can find the place on the next one where that where that finds itself really easily. And then I can just repeat over and over again. And you'll notice, just like with any other design, like textile design, as you start adding more details, it starts to get more interesting.
Hi. So when I finished putting my eyes. Where did you start the lines that you started drawing with the straight edge?
I mean, you don't have to do lines. I'm just giving you an example. I just started mine in a random place that made sense to me.
Okay, so
you can use your straight edge. I may also decide that, hey, I want, I don't know. I really like circles. So I may decide that this one's just gonna be covered in circles because that's, again, an element that I can add in without being too precious about it, and I can just do it over and over and over again. I may decide that my next row of lines, my next group will have these in it. So, you know, we can pick different designs to start filling it in. So yeah, where mine started off as a stegosaurus, now it doesn't look like one at all, and I'm okay with that. It's an abstract design that's based off of it, but does not have to look like one at the end of the day at all. So yeah, so you'll just continue to make different patterns in whatever you do. So I decided to add this zigzag on the tail-like piece, which actually makes it start to look like that's a mouth now. And I might go with that. Just because it's interesting to me. So it's all about replicating designs over and over and over again. And then what I want to show you on the one that I did earlier is that I can also start to just make decisions to differentiate between the different ones. So much like the shirt that I'm wearing or the fabric that I showed you earlier, there's different colors for each one, and that gives it another level of depth. That's also something that Escher did in his tessellations. So I think I initially decided that one of them was going to be the dark one. And then I'd let his neighbor stay light or stay white. And then, you know, if this is the next one in the series, that actually should have had a dot or the circle for the eye as well, then this guy will also be dark. Or Sade, do you have you don't happen to have your example from before, do you?
Oh, I totally do. Like,
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
The virtual background is making it disappear.
Hold on, I'll remove that.
Can you hold that up again?
Sure, just give me just a moment. I'm trying to not have a background so you can see.
So Sade also chose to make each one of them have a slightly different pattern, or three of them. You did three different versions?
Yeah. There you go. I can't stop. I keep on adding, so like. Hard to stop.
That's how I feel about it as well. You know, you just want to keep adding things to it. And in that way, it becomes this very meditative process. And that's what I like about this. Kind of makes, for me, it makes me not think about everything else going on, and provides a little escape. Oh. Did you move locations? Everyone's so quiet. Is it because everyone's on mute? Why is everyone? I feel like I have to keep looking up. Yeah, I feel like I have to keep looking up to be like, am I alone?
Again, no, everybody is fully engaged.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, I love it.
Madison is
You'll
actually
eat a good meal.
No, she's
Is she?
humming. Humming, yeah.
So has anyone picked up a new hobby to keep yourself occupied during the quarantine?
Yeah, doing tessellation workshops.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Baking.
Nice. Baking. Ooh.
Maddie
I wish I
says
could
homework.
sample.
Maddie
Homework.
says homework.
Oh no.
Trying to organize my life in general.
Are we all?
That's wise.
I've had this shape in my life ever since kindergarten. Even when I was discouraged from drawing, I would keep doing this shape, you know, with the bobby pin and the black when you're in kindergarten, you keep, and so it stayed with me all my life. So I signed up for the workshop because I thought, well, how wonderful to use that shape in tessellation. So thank you.
Oh, nice. I love it.
Okay. Yeah.
So even though I am not finished by any measure, but our time is coming close to an end. So I just want to, one of the things that you'll want to do is if you have a dark marker, it doesn't have to be black, you can start to go in and trace over your shapes, and that'll make them read much, much, much better. Uh-oh, what happened?
Nothing. He tried to swat my hand away, but then he remembered he was on video.
I love it. The funniest thing that happens to me is I have all my kids home, and I'll be in the middle of a meeting, and they'll do something, and I have to discipline them. I'm like, whoops.
It's a great shirt, Demetri, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Demetri, do you know what the root of the word discipline is in Latin?
Is it disciple?
It means to learn.
Yes. My kids
Very good.
do a lot of learning.
Just remember that. To learn. Yeah, disciple, to learn.
And so, yeah, if you have a lot of marker skills, then yours too can look like Sade's.
Oh, so they moved.
Guys, so hey, Demetri, I have to jump off because I have a 5 o'clock, but thank you so much.
Yeah,
This was
thank you so
amazing.
much for coming.
Thank
It
you,
was great
guys.
to see you again.
Yeah, enjoy. Bye, Sujay. Take care.
Are you doing
Bye.
this again next week, Demetri?
Yes, we'll be doing another class, and the announcement will go out tomorrow. It will not be the same class. We'll do something a little different. I'm toying around with it a little bit. You guys can kind of, I'll give you a little sneak peek of it. I actually am a bead artist, and this is my work table also. I'm actually thinking of doing something with beading, because it's how I spend all my evenings lately.
Nice.
But we'll see. I don't know if that's what gives people enough time to get the supplies that they need. But I'm thinking of doing that.
Where would you buy beads?
Michael's
or Amazon has them, but yeah, Michael's is much
Michael's
faster.
is open.
They're still open. You can do drive-by pickups by Sephora. Yeah, you can
online as well. They're open online, I think.
Yeah, they're open online. And then some of the other shops.
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. So we're thinking about. I'm still trying to come up with easy at-home kinds of things. I'm also thinking of paper marbling or something that doesn't take a lot of materials. But yeah, this will be a weekly occurrence every single Thursday.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you. And then if you have time, I also want to let you know about at 6 o'clock, we have the open mic. So that's also announced on the MoAD website. And the link for the Zoom account is on there. So that'll be at 6 o'clock today.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Excellent, Demetri. Thank you. Thank you.
Just wishing to you, yours, and the world.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming.
Demetri,
Thank
if we want to come next Thursday, do we have to email you? How do we get in?
It'll be in the MoAD newsletter.
And there'll be a link to get in?
And there'll be a link. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Oh my gosh,
Bye.
Robin. Oh, wow. Was that? Beautiful. I love the colors. Look at that. Tony's got some skills. I love it.
I'm trying.
Hey.
I appreciate it.
Mine, Demetri.
Awesome. Can you hold a little closer, Ruth? Oh, wow. Look at that shading and the little details. Wow. All right, Cedric. All right. Showing out. Wow, that's complicated. Yours is very, very complex.
If we go to gallery mode, we could all
then
hold
you can see everyone.
and see everybody, which might be fun.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
You have to take us back into gallery mode, though, because all I did is the grid.
Let's see. It should be in the top left.
I have it, but it says show grid.
Oh yeah, I think that's what she means is gallery or the grid mode.
That's what I mean, the grid.
Demetri, if you stop sharing it, I think we can see.
Oh, okay. Is that what the problem is?
Yeah, there you go.
Hi. I don't know if mine shows.
That's what I was hoping.
You can't see
Wow, wow.
That's fun.
These are
I love
cool.
it.
My fish.
Ron, let's see.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Ron, can we see yours again?
Sure.
Mine somehow turned into little
Pattern.
fishies. I don't know if you could see it. Look like fish.
Yeah.
I've
They
got
do. They really look like fish. I love it. Goldfish.
Right on.
Great.
This is
Thank
cool.
you.
Thanks,
That
everyone.
was great. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Demetri.
Thank you.
Next week I won't be a day early.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.